Welcome back, guys, to the Frozen Forum podcast. Today we're here with episode 4, and I'm here today with Alex, and we will be talking about the Habs Prospect Camp this past weekend, the Habs versus the Leafs prospects, and today we'll be going through some projections for the Habs players this season. Alex, how you doing?
Not too bad, Nathan. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. It's been a good day.
You know, I'd be a lot better if we won those 2 games on the weekend. I won't lie. Kind of tough.
Those were brutal. Honestly, I did not get the chance to watch the entire games. I watched a little bit of the highlights, but I saw that we lost. But you watched, I believe.
I watched both games. One of them I watched on a walk coming back up from the beach. And, man, I have to say the first thing that stood out to me is we do not have very many forward prospects that are good. You know, I was watching these games and I'm going, our defensemen are doing magical things on the ice. But man, we didn't have any forwards. And then I was thinking, hey, wait a second. Ivan Demidov's not here. Michael Hage isn't here. Also, our goaltenders, we had 2 goalies, Nathan, playing who were like tryouts from I don't even know where. But I'm pretty sure you could play goaltender and play better than these 2 guys because, holy, they could not stop a puck for the life of them.
We need to call up Leighton, I think, for the prospect game next year.
Honestly. Well, actually, next year we should have Cam Fowler, our top goaltending prospect, the guy who's playing Boston College another year. But I actually thought he's a lot older than he is. He's literally got drafted last, in the 2023 draft. And so he's 19, which is why he wasn't playing, is because they're trying to let him evolve as a goaltender. But there's so much hype behind him, so much hype behind so many of our other forward prospects. None of them were playing. The people who were playing were a defenseman, and I think that's where the story was this weekend.
Right, so let's dive right into the defenseman then. So I think we might as well start with the one and only Lane Hutson. So heard he had a big 2 games, so what did you see there?
Man, imagine, you've seen me skate, right? So imagine there's 9 of me on the ice, okay? And then put like Sidney Crosby, right? That was what Lane Hutson looks like on the ice. This kid was skating around literally everybody. And it was, and the thing that really stood out about his game was not just how well he can skate, how well he can puck handle, but it was how badly he wanted the puck when it wasn't on his stick. The battle, the drive that's in him on every single play. I recall one specific play in that first game. It was in overtime because that first game went into overtime. And he's coming down the ice, and the defenseman from the Leafs kind of stops him, gets his stick caught up, whatever, gets the puck away from him. All of a sudden, Lane Hutson's lifting the stick of the defenseman, taking the puck away, boxing him out with his 5'9" frame, passing it to a Habs player who's streaking down the other side, and we get a great opportunity. And it was like he lost the puck, he got the puck back, he made a great play. In the second game, he did the same thing, sort of. He was in the offensive zone. He has the puck. One of the guys took it off his stick. He got it back. Another guy took it off his stick. He got it back. And all of a sudden, he's making a play. It was magical to watch. Lane Hutson is magic. I'm pretty sure that's just the outcome of that one.
Yeah, every time I was looking up Habs prospects on Twitter this past weekend, all I was seeing Lane Hutson. So we're definitely excited to see him. But aside from Lane Hutson, any other notable names, any plays that you saw from any players?
Look, I mean, I look at that. Logan Mailloux scored in the second game. I think it was to tie it up. I'm actually not sure because the Montreal Canadiens feed for this game did not have a scoreboard on it. So I had no idea how much time was left in each period. I had no idea what the score was in each period. I couldn't have told you. I was trying to check Twitter, seeing who was going to tell me what the score is in the game to figure it out. But Logan Mailloux scores, I believe, is a tying goal to make it 4-4 in the game. The puck is passed to him. It's a bad pass from one of these no-name defensemen who were playing. It ricochets off the end boards, comes up. He's looking at the puck. He turns around, faces the net. He's, I think, 3 feet from the red line. One times the puck right into the corner of the net. It was the most beautiful shot I've seen, and it's something you would expect from a Cole Caulfield. It looks like a kind of goal that Leon Draisaitl scores, and it's this defenseman prospect named Logan Mailloux for the Habs. Like, I think he was really special too. Also, did you know he captained the team?
Yes, I did see that. I saw that highlight online, and I realized he did have the captain on. So yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that just goes to show you how much trust the Montreal Canadiens organization has in this kid, and how much they believe in his character. But then the other one that really stood out, we had a draft pick from this last year. His name is Tyler Thorpe. I never heard of him. He's a 4th or 5th round pick or something like that. On paper, he looks like just another big body, like depth pick. You're picking up the 6'3" or 4 guy, whatever he is. He really impressed a lot of people at camp. He did a lot. He was skating really well with the puck. He was skating really well without the puck. And actually, he was playing on a line, I believe, with Florian Xhekaj, who was pretty good too. I don't know. Do you see that fight that Xhekaj had?
It was a short fight, but he got the job done. So I like the enforcer role already coming out of him.
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think having 2 Xhekajs on the team like just makes us unstoppable?
I like it. Imagine they put them on a line together. Ooh, baby. Because then they're protecting each other. Like, I have a brother, and if I had a brother like in a fight, not even have to be on the ice, but just in a fight, like I'm gonna back him up. But now you're in a fight on the ice, thousands of fans hyping you up. I can just imagine what the energy would be in the buildings, how they get the team fired up. That'd be incredible.
No, it would be, and he looked really good. You know, I for all he's worth, Xhekaj looked really good. He was centering a line, but he was playing also with Luke Tuch is our prospect, I believe, and the 3 of them. I mean, that line looked like they could be a very, very solid 4th line in the NHL, and that's really what you're asking from all 3 of them. They played really good hockey. They played very physical hockey. You've got 3 super big bodies, and they really looked like when you get Gallagher and Anderson off this team when their contracts expire. They look like the next 4th line, which is pretty cool.
Good to see. I'm excited to see what the Habs got in them this season. I
am.
They got a shot at the playoffs. A lot of people don't think so. All the bookies have them as the 3rd least likely team to make the playoffs. But
that's actually ridiculous.
I know. We have some legitimate depth this year, and if Primeau and Montembeault can play like how they were playing towards the end of the last season, I think we got a shot.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I think the wonderful thing that Montreal has going for them is in the next 4 years, every single one of the years, you're going to be adding prospects to the team. You're going to be adding people who are on entry-level contracts who aren't taking up a lot of cap space. I think that's just going to give them so much flexibility when it comes to trade deadline day and stuff. The one thing I'll say, though, is before we move on to the next section that we're talking about is the one big thing that came out of this prospects camp and the prospects games is Lane Hutson does not have to play any more hockey to make the NHL team on day one. Like the things that we saw from him, the vision, his ability to process the game. If you stick him in the AHL, he will be playing with people who do not understand how to play hockey well enough to play with him. And I think that's really the big takeaway here is if it's not even like about where Lane Hutson's going to thrive, it's where can he develop. And I don't see any way that he can develop amongst most of the players he was playing with in this prospects tournament. He has to be playing with these high IQ players that we have on our team. I think Logan Mailloux has a shot. I think his preseason is going to be super important. I thought David Reinbacher has a shot. We're going to have to see how his preseason goes. But it's like Lane Hutson. I if I was the coach right now, if I was Marty St. Louis, he's already on opening night roster.
Okay. Well, we will see what happens in the preseason, and we can dive into that later if we want to. You actually might see some of the preseason game in next week's podcast. Give you a little sneak peek of the action there. Yeah.
Pretty exciting. It's on. Yep. Well, it actually wouldn't be on next week's because next week we'll film on Wednesday. So. Okay. If we go on Thursday, it'll be the week after. But yeah.
Okay.
Preseason hockey does start next week. It starts it starts with a Philly game on the 23rd.
Yes.
So that 5 days from now.
Paying attention to.
Oh, okay. That's good. We're making progress, Nathan. We're gonna get to a point where Nathan consumes as much Habs content as I do.
Look, I just want to see what the Dogs or our team are doing in the preseason to see how that'll set us up for the regular season. But
It's
yeah,
fair enough.
I am excited. And on that note, let's head over to our projections for the Habs for this season. Okay, so Alex, what is this Excel that I'm looking at here?
Okay, so I made an Excel because one of the things that is talked about a lot in the NHL is this notion that you have to score a certain number of goals in order to get in the playoffs, right? People talk a lot about the points total. So they'll say, if a team gets to 96 points in the regular season, that should be enough to get them in the playoffs. But the thing they also talk about is goals. They say, if you don't score goals in the NHL, unless you are perfect defensively and have absolutely stellar goaltending, you can't make it. And so I wanted to dive into that. And so that's where this Excel spreadsheet kind of comes from.
Cool. So it looks like on average the top four teams in the playoffs, right from round one, have a minimum of 280-ish goals. There's one outlier with 255. I don't know who that was, but yeah.
255 goals is a lot. Do you know how many we've scored in the last 3 years? 236 last year. And that's not even a real 236. 4 of those are shootout goals, so those don't count. So it was like 232 last year, 230 the year before, 221 the year before that. And you said we needed how many about to be in the mix for playoffs?
280.
That's a lot of goals, Nathan DaCosta.
280 to be a top four, but to make the playoffs.
No, I think the way you got to read this, right, is those top 4 are Atlantic Division teams, right? Those are the guys that we're competing with.
Okay.
And so, it doesn't matter if we score more than the Washington Capitals, as much as that should be an easy thing to do, right? I said that and then realized how much of a thing that was to say, how crazy that was to say. But no, but realistically, it doesn't really matter what we score against the Pacific Division or the Metro or the Central, right? It matters what we're scoring against the teams we're competing with directly, because ideally we're not just getting a wild card spot here. We're actually making a push in the playoffs. So I think the 280 number is a good number. And so then using that kind of methodology, what we're going to try to do here today is forecast or predict, give what you want to see out of each Montreal Canadiens player, and see if that's going to add up to enough goals to actually make the playoffs. Does that sound good?
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so where do you want to start? Who do you want to start with? What do you think the big storyline is coming in?
Okay, we have to start with top 3 forwards. So just to be simplistic, we're going to stick with Suzuki, Caulfield, Slav. They're going to be in line. Okay. Last season, we saw Suzuki had 33, Caulfield had 28, and Slav had 20. I think with Slav being more developed in the NHL now, having more confidence, that'll impact that line a lot. So I could see Suzuki. Realistically, do you want 3 numbers? Do you want 1 number? How do you want me to do this?
I want 2. I want to say I want your high bar, or sorry. I want your what you expect actually. Like this is what I think he's going to get. And then I kind of want a low bar, in your, and obviously these numbers assume that they're playing 82 games, right? Because if he gets injured the first game of the season, like Kirby Dach did last year, there's 0 goals, right? We can't predict that kind of stuff. Right. But I'm talking a low bar. I want to say the worst possible season that Nick Suzuki could have playing on the first line with these 2 players in terms of goals, right? Because he could score 5 goals, let's say, and get 95 points because he just assists Caulfield's 95 goals, right? That could happen maybe, right? I'm a little too wishful, but
it's possible.
But that's sort of what I'm looking for. Okay, so we're gonna go what you expect, and then sort of the low bar.
Okay. So Nick Suzuki, 33 last year. Since he's been in the league, he's just been improving as a player, and I don't think that's going to slow down this year, especially when you have confidence building with the pickup of Patrick Lainé. So realistically, I think you could see him and Cole both at 40.
Both at 40.
Both at 40.
40, huge takes here. I'm going to disagree a little bit with you. Actually, I think you're totally right that Slafkovsky getting better and having Patrick Lainé on the team is going to make it a lot easier for that first line to score goals. I don't think it's going to come from Suzuki. And like I would think on a total points perspective, I would be so surprised if Nick Suzuki plays 82 games and gets less than a point a game. But I think his actual goal total, I think what you're really looking for from him is anywhere in that 25 to 30 range. And so I put him down at 28. Like, you can tell me if that's a little too low. That puts him as like a high bar of like 36 and a low of 20. So like I'm thinking like worst possible season you can have is 20. Middle bar about 28, a little bit less than last year, but I just think he was making up for a lot of Cole Caulfield scoring last year. I think you're going to see a lot of goals from Cole. I agree with you on the 40 though for Cole. We can put him down for 40. That's gonna turn some heads though. A lot of people don't believe he can do it.
He is definitely capable with that shot and a more confident Slav in the league. So yeah, Cole 40, and okay, just for our prediction, since you think it'll be lower, I say we meet in the middle of us two and say 33 again.
33 again. Okay. And what do you think then for Slav, third guy in the line?
Slav, that is the wild card. I expect a good amount of points from this season, probably 60-ish, 60, maybe 70 points this year. I'll say 27 or 28 goals.
I had 27. I had 27. We're right on the same page there. I put him as like a minute. The low bar for him, I put him at 20. Does that sound right? It's like he scores 20 last year. He's starting to gain his confidence just at the end of the year. Like, I don't really know how he takes a step back from that. Do you?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, cool. And then Cole, what do you think that low bar is for Cole? Because I definitely think it's a little bit lower depending on how he plays.
Yeah, I don't see a middle ground for Cole, to be honest. I see him either like 40 or more or like 18. Like he just in the
Well, like, I mean, he scores 28 last year, and I feel like you say that's an off year for him, no?
I guess that is true. Like, we did see a little bit of a weaker year from him. I'd still say 20 though. Like,
okay, so we'll put him at 20, and then that puts his high bar at 60. Okay, so if 3 standard deviations for everybody who likes statistics, we're saying he scores 60.
Okay,
I like that. I like that. Well, I like that number. Yeah. I'd love to see it. Okay, so we've gone through the first line.
Yeah,
and realistically, I think the first and second line here are the talking points, right? Like, these guys are the ones who are going to drive the season. These are the ones that we need to see development from, that we need to see growth from, right? Do you want to move into the second line?
Yeah, so I think the second line is going to be Lainé. What do you think the third will be?
Well, you gotta have a center on that line. He's coming back from injury. Guy who got injured, second game of the season, Mr.
Kirby Dach.
Kirby Dach.
Second line. Okay. Patrick Lainé, Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook. I don't even know if I like Dach's second line just because he's hasn't played for an entire year. But we'll see what happens. But okay, that's a separate talking point. But for this projection, those 3 together, okay, we all have huge expectations for Lainé. You said what in our first or second episode he was going to get 60?
I said he could. I said he could score 60. He could, and I still believe it.
I also believe that. I don't know if it is possible with Kirby Dach. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but
you got to remember though, coming in like on the second line, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slafkovsky, until the second line really shows that they're like a first line, they're going to be getting the hard matchups, right? And if you really think about it, Patrick Lainé is a first line player if he's playing good hockey. And so if he's playing good hockey, he's going to be getting the second lines of all of these other teams. And yeah, sure, the second line is pretty good when you're playing the New Jersey Devils or the Boston Bruins. But when you're playing the San Jose Sharks and you don't know the last names of the guys on the second line, like, that's where I think this guy picks up a lot of goals, no?
Yeah, that is fair. On weaker defenses, yeah, 100%. Okay, then we'll start with Lainé. Lainé this season is going to have 40 goals. He's going to have 40. He's going to match Caulfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think his low bar is? He plays 82 games.
His low bar, if he plays 80, this guy's a sniper. There's no way he gets less than 25.
Okay, so we're saying 40, 25 is a low bar.
Yeah. What do you think?
I actually agree with that. I had him a little bit lower. I put his middle at like 30 just because we don't really know what to expect from him. But I'll change it up to 40 because I do agree with you. If he's playing 82 games, that's implying he's healthy. He's going to be playing on the first power play unit most likely. I don't know if you've seen some of these videos from the off season of him like practicing with the Habs. His shot is actually ridiculous. Like the way he's able to get the puck off of his stick, I've never seen anything like it. And I haven't watched a lot of his hockey because he was playing in Winnipeg, then he's playing a little bit in Columbus. His shot is ridiculous. So yeah, I'll go up to you. I like 40, 25, 55. I think the really, really interesting thing about this year's Habs team is this second line that we're talking about, right? Alex Newhook had 15 goals last year. Like, Kirby Dach had none. He played a game and a half. Patrick Lainé wasn't on the team. So you got like your entire second line on the team scored 15 goals for the Habs last year.
It's a wild card line based on stats, yeah.
But this is where that really that big gap. Like this is what I'm saying. I think when you look at what the sports books are saying about the Montreal Canadiens, they're saying they're so far away from the playoffs. I think they have to realize that you're injecting an entire second line that has not ever contributed to this team, and you're not really taking anything away from the rest of the team. Like all of our forward core, who are you losing? You haven't lost anybody. They're all the same, right? You just bump them down a spot. And when you bump people down a spot, when they weren't really supposed to be playing second line minutes to begin with, when they weren't supposed to be playing third line minutes to begin with, guess what happens? Those lines start scoring goals because they're actually playing against the level of competition that they're supposed to be playing against, right? Like that's what I think is missing. So, and that's why I think this is so interesting. Patrick Lainé, I agree, 40 goals. Kirby Dach coming back from injury, obviously super hard to come back from. He says he's feeling better than he ever has coming into a season, which okay. I would really hope so after taking an entire season off, but that's a whole separate issue. What do you think for him? What do you think he can do?
Kirby Dach, because he has a guy like Lainé. I could see him being more of an assist guy going to Newhook. Oh, that's not true. Alex could be the assist guy there. I'm gonna have to put both Alex and Kirby Dach, Newhook and Kirby Dach at, I'll say 17 each.
Okay, I like that number. And
both low bar of 9 each.
I'm putting him at 10. I like 10 a little better. Okay. And I think 10 realistically, it's super hard for a guy like Alex Newhook not to score those kinds of goals. This is the guy that you put in front of the net on our power play. This is I don't know if he's going to be in front of the net on our power play. There's too many people who go on the first power play unit. But yeah, I think both of them. I think 10's okay. You agree? Yeah. I mean, we're splitting hairs here, but
yeah, I like that.
10's good. Okay, so we've got two lines now. Who is on your third line out of the players listed?
Got to be Armia, Josh Anderson, and Jake Evans.
Armia, Anderson, and Jake Evans. You're not putting our boy Christian Dvorak that we traded a whole first round pick for up in the third line? God. Okay. Well, we're putting Jake Evans then. I agree. Honestly, if Jake is not a third line player this year, then you might as well trade him away somewhere because he should be. I like that this is the J line as well. What do you think? What do you think for these guys? So first of all, what did they do last year? Remind me. And then what do you think they can do this year?
Okay, last year Armia had 17, Anderson had 9, Evans had 7. I pay attention mainly to the first two lines. And I honestly thought Anderson and Evans both had more. And I know they're both capable of having much more. So I'm going to be optimistic for this line. So last year Armia had 17. I'm going to go the same. I think 17 again. Low end for Armia, 8.
Okay,
Now,
I like it.
Josh Anderson. I think this year Josh Anderson is getting 20 goals, even though he had 9 last year. And his low end will be 10. His
10.
low end will be higher than his entire goals last year, I think.
Nathan, do you like Josh Anderson?
Of course I like Josh Anderson.
Okay, let me tell you, I love Josh Anderson. I think this guy is one of the smartest people on the ice for our team. I think he's so fast that other people just can't catch up with what he's thinking about. Like I think he honestly sees the game so much faster. He gets to the places where he's supposed to be. I think the most interesting thing to see in this year's Canadiens team is how Josh Anderson plays with Lane Hutson, because I would not be surprised if 20 games into this season we're talking about how Lane Hutson passed the puck up to Josh Anderson to an area that nobody thought, like nobody was. Josh Anderson gets a breakaway and scores a goal. I think that's the kind of thing he does. I don't think anybody on the team has been close to him in terms of actually thinking the game the way he does. I think Lane could be close. I heard something about him though. This summer, and like most summers, I guess, Adam Nicholas, our player development coach, was hosting on ice practices and like whatever, like just drop in sessions for players. And guess who? I mean, obviously, I've kind of spoiled it, but guess who was at almost every single practice this summer?
Number 17.
Number 17. Number 17. He's hurt us. Like, I mean, last year he was terrible. He scores 9 goals. This guy's coming in from the Columbus Blue Jackets. We signed him to a $5.7 million deal on a 7-year deal. We're expecting big things from this guy. And he did not deliver last year.
Yep.
We were upset about it. But guess who else was upset about it? He was upset about it. And he went into this summer and he said, you know what? I'm not going to let this be the end of me. I'm going to figure out what I'm not doing right. I'm going to go practice all of the things I've been doing wrong. And we're going to go into the season and do a lot of good things. I agree with you. Great things are coming from number 17, Josh Anderson. We got him at 20 goals. The last guy on this list, Jake Evans on this line. What are you putting Evans at?
I think Evans going to be about 12 this season.
12. He scored 7 last year. You think he does more than 7?
Yeah. He's going to get 12 with more confident Anderson. I know it's a hot take, but I just think Anderson, out of anyone on this team, has the most potential for growth. 100%.
Well, other than Laine, I'm assuming, or like a Kirby Dach, but like of the players who played last year, you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Cool. And then what do you think low bar for Jake? Like 4, 5?
Yeah, 5. I was going to say 5.
Okay, we're moving down. We're moving down the list. What we got left?
Okay, let's just do the defensemen now.
Okay,
are we going through the rest of the forwards?
We can go through the last forward line if you want. The last 3 that I've got highlighted to be on the team is Christian Dvorak, Joshua Waugh, and number 11, the guy who scored 16 last year, Brendan Gallagher. I think Gallagher is a big one too. What do you think Gallagher can do?
If you want me to be completely honest, I don't have too much knowledge about Dvorak and Waugh, which means I don't have much confidence in them. So I don't know how Gallagher can play alongside 2 guys that I honestly don't think much of the Habs fan base know too much about. I could be wrong.
I will say here, Brendan. I was really surprised. The things that surprised me on this list from last year is that Brendan Gallagher scored 16 goals, and that put him 5th in the Montreal Canadiens lineup, like in terms of goals scored throughout the year.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was 5th. People are saying he's not playing very well, and I'll agree. We expect more from him. This is a guy who scored 30 goals in the NHL in a single season, twice in a row, right?
Yeah.
So 16 is not a lot, but
now,
I see no reason why he can't score it again.
That's true. But now he is on a 4th line, less ice time.
Right. I mean, this is where we might disagree a little bit. I put him on the 3rd line myself. Okay. I see I think Josh Anderson needs to prove himself a little bit, and who else do you put on that third line? Armia. As much as I like Armia, like Armia just screams, "I need to be on the fourth line." You know, like I just feel like he needs to be. Like he was on
Sure,
the fourth line when we went to the Cup final. He was playing with Jordan Stahl and Corey. Was it Jordan? I'm getting the wrong Stahl. Which Stahl played for us? Eric Stahl. Eric Stahl played for us.
I don't
One of the Stahl brothers played for us.
Yeah.
And he played with him and Corey Perry. That was a great fourth line. Got us to the Cup final.
Yes.
I like him there. I also could see a world where Joel Armia plays with Patrick Lainé. They get the Finnish connection going, which is the complete opposite of being on the fourth line. But I don't see a third line option for him. But going back to it, I look at Brendan Gallagher and I say, look at his regular season totals. This guy is 32 years old. He's not old, right? He's a veteran on our team because we have no older guys. But on the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's one of the youngest guys, right? You look at his goal totals over the last years, right? There is not a single season that he was under 13 to 14 goal pace for over 82 games. Okay. So I don't really see a world. I do think there's a lot of worlds where he gets hurt because he has been very injury prone. But I don't see a world where he's not getting 14 per se. And that's what I put him at in my model. You can disagree maybe with that.
I was going to say 15.
Yeah, it's a good number, right? Cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing him at 15.
Yeah, so we'll put Gally at 14. Well, I'll put it 14. Stay on the safe side, You wouldn't believe what this total has already gotten to. But when you add up all of the optimistic Habs takes, you get to some pretty high numbers.
Okay. Now we got Dvorak and Waugh. I put them both at 5.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good estimate. I mean, Joshua Waugh is coming off of AHL stint last year, where he scored 13 goals in 41 games in the AHL. In the 23 games he played in the NHL, he scored 4 goals and had 5 assists, right? So over a full season, multiply that by 4, you get about 16 goals. Put him at 10 to say that he's around there. Is that fair?
Sure.
Cool. Okay. Let's move on to defensemen. Which defenseman you want to talk about first?
Okay. I'm just going to work my way down this list. We're going to go Mike Matheson first. He had the most of all of the Habs defensemen last year with 11. I think we can see more out of him this year. I know he has the shot. He definitely has the shot to do it. I see him as a 15 goal scorer. Okay,
so I'm going to go exact opposite side of you. I say Mike Matheson scored 11 goals because he was on the first power play unit. And watching Lane Hutson play this weekend, if you deprive that first unit from Lane Hutson, like maybe at the beginning of the season, I agree. You can't throw him into every situation right at the beginning. If within the first 9 games he's not playing on that first power play unit, I think there's a problem. I would put Matheson down. I'm going to put him at 5. Honestly, I'll be happy if Matheson scores 5 because I just don't see him getting the opportunities that Lane Hutson's going to get this year.
Okay, let's meet in the middle then. We'll say 10.
Say 7. I'm willing to go as high as 7, man. Well, I as much as I like Mike Matheson, and I actually, if you've heard me talk about him ever, I don't like him. I think he's bad defensively. I think the offense that he produces is not worth the defense he gives up. And I also think all of his points last year just came from because he was on the power play and got some good ice time when we were down. But I don't see that happening. I don't think you can make an argument to put Mike Matheson on the ice in the situations that he was put last year when you have Lane Hutson on the team. I think you'd be stupid. That'd be like saying, hey, we just picked up this young kid named Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and we're going to put Jose Bautista in the bat to pinch hit to win us the game. It's like you wouldn't do that. You're going to go, yo, look, there's this Vladimir Guerrero Jr. guy who's on track to, or he could win the MVP or whatever at 20, whatever years old he won it at, right? You're going to pick the young guy because you're going to give him that opportunity to develop and succeed. And I think Marty St. Louis knows that, and so I see Lane Hutson going in a lot of those spots.
So you
So
think
7.
Lane?
I'm going 7.
Okay, 7. But you think okay? We'll get to Lane Hutson last. Let's cover the defensemen that are on the team for now. Okay, next up, Jordan Barron and David Savard. Jordan Barron had 7 last year, and David Savard had 6. I think we see them both around the same. To be honest, around almost the exact same. So I'll say 7 for both. Okay,
I like it. I won't argue that one.
Okay, another one. Oh, low end for them, 4. Okay, a sneaky one, Caden Gooley. Gooley is a younger player. He's got plenty of room to grow again on this young team. And with the defenseman like Lane Hutson, we just saw him play this weekend. I would not be surprised if we see Caden Gooley at 14 goals this season. He had 6 last year, 14 this season.
14 this season. I like it. It's bold. It's bold, Nathan.
It is bold.
It's bold. I'm gonna cut you down again.
You shut down on Mike Matheson, so now you're gonna.
I'm gonna meet you in the middle and say 10. Okay, because I had 6. So we're getting there. I think one of the trends that you saw last season, the Montreal Canadiens had some of the most goals by defensemen in the entire National Hockey League. When you look at the total goals that our defensemen scored, I think we were tied for first at one point. It was really close between us and Colorado. I think the reason that you saw that from our team is not necessarily because our defensemen are the best offensively gifted players. I think it was more, we had one single line that could do anything on the ice last year. And so if you wanted to score, you needed a defenseman to come up into the play. And you needed a defenseman to take a shot from the point, right? I honestly think this season, you're going to see a lot less production on terms of goals. I think there's going to be so many more points to go around because, I mean, those forwards are just going to score so many more goals than they did last year. And they're so much more dangerous. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a very fair take. And now that we have 2 lines capable of that, arguably 3.
Hey, if you think about it, our third line is actually a third line this year.
Yeah.
Like last year, I didn't want anybody on our fourth line ever playing hockey for us in the National Hockey League again, right? So you know, we've made improvements.
Yes, we have. We definitely have. Okay, now Arbor Jackeye, Jaden Struble. Let's start with Jackeye. Jackeye last season, he had 3. Remember, Jackeye is our enforcer. I don't see him coming out as a very, very skilled player all of a sudden. I still see him in that enforcer role. So I'll say right there again I'll give him 5. I'll give him 5 this season.
I had penciled in 3 because I thought you were going to say right again. We're going to put 3. Oh no, we're going to do 5. Okay, let's
do 5. We'll give him 5, and the low end 2.
Okay.
And Jaden Struble, he had
not going to play a lot of hockey. Remember, this is a guy that's going to be like our 7th defenseman.
Yeah, because of Lane Hutson. Yeah, he's probably going to get 2 or 3.
Yep.
And
that's what I had him at 2. I got 0 on the low end.
0. I was going to say 0.
Yeah.
Okay, now the wild card. Lane Hutson. What do we see him at, and when do we see him make a progression? If he makes a progression to the first line, do you think that could be?
I don't know if he's going to be first line pairing. Like, I don't think he's going to be a first pairing defenseman this year. As long as you have Mike Matheson on the team, and honestly, like, I mean, he plays the left side. I think as long as you've got a guy like Caden Gooley on the team, Caden Gooley is so sound defensively that if he's actually playing on the side he's supposed to play on, I think he slots in above him. But that's not where the point production comes from, right? Like, you're going to be seeing Lane Hutson be put in a lot of offensive situations. You're going to see him be put in. I honestly think he should be on the first power play unit to start the season. He is that good. Like people keep saying that we're hyping this kid up too much. This is a kid who every single level of hockey that he has ever played, this kid has come, shown up, and found a way to succeed. He played against these AHL players, and I thought that was going to be a really good test. I don't know if you saw it. He got hit pretty hard. There was a play. He got hit into the ice, kind of turned around. The guy was there, shoved him around. That's going to happen. but he stood up and he made a pass later in the game that almost scored a goal, right? That's who he is. And so I put him on the first power play unit. I know that Marty St. Louis won't, because there's, oh, you got to earn your spot in the NHL to get, you have to prove yourself first before we give you anything to do, like this stupid ass, whatever. This kid is a star. You have to put him in the places where he can succeed. That is on the first power play unit with our best players.
And how many goals is he going to get this year then?
I don't think a lot of goals. I'm going to say 12. 12 is actually a lot of goals if you think about it, because he is a defenseman. But I see him scoring 12 because that's what Mike Matheson got in the same kind of role last season. I think it's a lot easier to isolate, or is it isolate? I guess it is isolate, like Lane Hutson, and say that, this is a kid who, if we're up a goal late in the game, we're not going to put him on the ice, because there's A, no reason for him to be there, and B, as much as he provides defensively, we have these bigger guys that can push people around. But yeah, no, I honestly, like, every time we've got an offensive draw and we're down a goal, right? Every time we've got a power play, like, if he doesn't start the season on the first power play, he's starting on the second power play unit, right? So he's getting power play time right from the beginning of the season. I think 12 goals, and I think a lot of points. I think he's going to get a lot of points.
Mm-hmm. I could see Hudson getting 50, especially with how he, like, the magic he can do with the puck and just put it in places where you don't expect it to go.
Bro, he's gonna score 60 power play points. That's where I'm at right now. Like watching this kid play, do things on the ice. He's literally magic to watch. Pretty 60? Cool.
Say that again.
60 points, not goals. Points.
Who's getting 60 points?
Lane Hutson getting 60. You know what? I would put money on it right now. If he plays on the now, this is a big if, right? If he plays on the first power play unit by the 5th game of the season, and he is playing every single game of this season with the Montreal Canadiens, Lane Hutson scores 60 points. Minimum. And actually, I just put him 60 points on the power play. Take away all of the other points. 60 on the freaking power play.
Okay. We'll leave it.
We're getting a little unhinged here. Guess what our total is? Before I tell you, we told you at the beginning of this video that we needed as a team to get up to about 285 goals to feel like we've scored enough to get into the playoffs. How many do you think we're at right now?
2 optimistic Habs fans. Let's see what we got. I'm going to say we probably projected 305.
Ding, 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 ding. Really? I can't believe you actually did that. That was crazy. It's 305. Well, we just added up here. 305 goals.
Actually 305.
It's actually 305.
Oh, what the hell? I wasn't even adding this up. I was just... Yeah.
Nathan, what's the lottery numbers this week? You're on a roll. Can you get those ones too?
I don't know. I lost Lotto Max yesterday. Did not win the 80 million.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Man, no, but 305. We got 305, which is a good number. Let's go right now and say, to be conservative, to be maybe less optimistic Habs fans. Now, I will say the low bar that we've set for this team is 165, right? That's saying every single player on this team has the worst possible season that they could have. We score about 165 goals, which actually sounds pretty close to reality. The reality of it is it should be somewhere in between there, because not every player on this team is going to have the worst season that they're going to have. But let's say, to be conservative, let's take, what do you think, 20? Let's take 30 goals off that total. Go down to like 275. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, I think 275, 270-ish is realistic for us this season.
Right. Okay, so, and then this is what I'm going to say, okay? So then based on our low bars, and by creating a high bar based on our low bars, what my Excel spreadsheet spits out is that there's a 39% chance that we score 285 goals or more. And so what that's saying in very, very simplistic terms is that right now the sports books say that the Montreal Canadiens are 12.5% favorites to make the playoffs. there are three things that you need to make the playoffs. You A, have to score a lot of goals. B, not give up too many goals because your goaltenders are stupid. And C, defend pretty well, right? And that sort of goes, B and C kind of go together, right? I think there's a 40% chance that we score enough goals. That's what the spreadsheet says. I agree with it. I think there's a 40% chance that we score enough goals. And then it's just a question about the goaltenders. Nathan, how do you feel about our two goaltenders? Like, we got Caden Primo's never played a full season before as a backup. He's always been pushed around, either a third string backup or whatever. He's a backup. Montembeault has never been, I mean, he sort of was last year, never been the true starter in the NHL. How do you feel about those two?
Well, I feel good about Montembeault starting for this season. I feel like he should definitely play first few games until Montreal gets an opponent like San Jose or one of the bottom teams like Anaheim as well, and then throw Primeau in, just getting warmed up a little bit. Or if there's ever any games where it's a blowout where either we are annihilating them or we're getting annihilated, you throw Primeau in just to get some action. And one thing I hope the Habs are doing is, does Carey Price work for the team at all? Like, if that is something
he's around the team is what they like to say. The way I sort of read into this, he's not allowed to be a coach of any sort on the team or like a consultant until he's actually not being played as a player anymore.
Right.
So I believe he still shows up to a lot of their charity events. I'm not sure if he was at the golf tournament, which happened yesterday. But what were you going to say about him? What do you think he should do?
I just think he needs to be there at more games. Like, almost we need like a goaltending coach, and he could be that guy. Because he has been in damn near every situation. He's played World Championship hockey, Olympic gold medal hockey. He's been to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think we need a goaltending coach like Carey Price to help guide these goalies. Because really, at the end of the day, it'll be up to our goalies whether or not we make the playoffs. I think if you give us goalies like who we know can play well, like you say, give us a prime.
Yeah, I mean, Samuel Montembeault, 6th in the league last year in terms of goals saved above expected. 6th in the league.
Right.
I'm a big Montembeault fan. A lot of people love Fowler coming up in the system, and I agree. He's a great prospect. Samuel Montembeault plays such a simple and straightforward game. I love the way he plays the goaltender position. But keep going. What were you going to say? I keep interrupting.
I was going to keep going with saying,
terrible.
You put a prime Henrik Lundqvist with our team last year. I still don't think we make the playoffs. But if you put a prime Henrik Lundqvist with our team this year, we have a very, very good chance of making the playoffs. But obviously,
I would almost say it's like 100. No,
100.
I would almost say it's like 100. And actually, sorry. You know what? I'm a Habs fan. If prime Henrik Lundqvist is in net for us, I think 90% of the time we make the playoffs this year. I think if prime Carey Price is in net for us, I think there's not a single chance we don't make the playoffs.
I 100% agree with that.
You got to remember. As great as Henrik Lundqvist was, Carey Price was better. I'll die on that stone. I don't care who you are.
No, I agree. Henrik was surrounded by a better team. Sorry, he was. They had more skill on the team. We didn't at the time. If Carey Price was on that New York Rangers team, they would have won against the Kings there. It will happen.
That's a crazy take, man. That's crazy. But I agree. Like it's crazy to say out loud, but I totally agree. You look at Carey Price's season, where I have a feeling this is going to happen a lot this season, where we delve into Carey Price's seasons. But the season that he won everything, the 2014-15 season, the Montreal Canadiens were god awful. Like, their whole team could not do anything right, and we made the playoffs. Like, it's crazy. Like we made like that. Like that's like putting a Carey Price, prime Carey Price, into last year's team and saying that we make the playoffs. We came 5th last year. Like that. That's how good he was. I think in goals saved above expected that year, he scored he saved something like 42 goals above expected. Like, by himself, like 42 goals. Like, we're talking here that we need to score, what is it, 50 more goals than last season in order to make the playoffs. Like you completely get rid of that need if you save 40 more goals, right? Crazy. Ridiculous. What a guy. I love him.
I don't know if we want to talk about this here, but do you think Carey Price will make the Hall of Fame?
I got a better one for you.
Wait, let's start with this.
I don't really see the argument why he shouldn't make the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I think the much, much more interesting question is, should they retire Carey Price's number in Montreal?
Yes.
Because you got to remember, every single guy who has their number retired in the Bell Center has a cup.
Price.
And that's where I think the difference between the Hall of Fame and retiring somebody's number, right, is the Hall of Fame does not just care about how you played in the NHL, right? It's not the NHL Hall of Fame. It's the Hockey Hall of Fame. And that's why Shea Weber made it first ballot, is because, did Shea Weber have a great NHL career? Yes. Was he an all-star defenseman every single year that he was playing in the NHL? Yes. Did he win a cup? No. But he won gold medal with Canada twice, right? He was not only winning gold medal for Team Canada twice, he was one of their top defensemen. He was fantastic in all international competitions that he played in, and he was a leader on and off the ice, right? So he makes the Hall of Fame. I think you can say the exact same thing for Carey Price, right? You've got an all-star goaltender every single year that he played hockey. You've got a guy who has a gold medal as the goaltender for the Team Canada team back in 2014. You've got a guy who won the World Juniors. You've got a guy who, like the whole thing, every single area of hockey, he's gone to the Stanley Cup final once. He was in the conference final once or twice. I don't really see the argument against the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you disagree with that.
No, I agree.
But do you think he deserves to have his number hung up in the rafters of the Bell Center?
Yes, I think he does. You got to remember that all the players that are in the rafters right now, they were in a smaller NHL. It was a little bit easier to win a cup back then, and most of those players have multiple cups. Carey Price was on the Habs for what? A good 10 or 12 years?
I think he came in 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
So yeah. About 10 years. And every single year was one of the top goalies in the league. I guess there's a little bit of a debate for it, but in my opinion, there's not much of a debate for when the Habs made the playoffs for every one of those years between 2010 and when we made that finals run. He was more than half the reason why we made it there. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, the reason he won the Hart Trophy the one year is because he was the most valuable player. Yeah. If you put Carey Price, 2014-15 Carey Price, on any team in the NHL that year, they would have made the cup. They would have made the playoffs. Like, maybe not the cup, but they would have made the playoffs. And you put them on any of the teams who made it to the conference finals and lost in the conference finals, all of them win the cup, right? With a Carey Price on their team. And I wanted to look it up just to be curious. He actually officially played 15 different seasons with the Montreal Canadiens because he was on the team back in 2007 as like a 22-year-old, I guess. Or no, not even. He would be like 20 because he was drafted in 2005. Yeah, so like 2007, he had been 20 years old. He came into the NHL. As a side note, look for Cam Fowler to do the same thing. That's the level that this kid is. Like he might not have been drafted 5th overall. Cam Fowler is lights out. Like lights out. Anyways, in that 2014-15 season, plays 66 games. I think there's one goaltender last year who played over 60. Plays 66 games. Has a .933 save percentage and a 1.96 goals against average. Like, even just raw stats on the paper, that's ridiculous.
Less than 2 a game? Oh my God.
For 66 games. Like, look, I could do that. playing like half a period, like if you extrapolate into the full game, like I could stand in the net, and while we're shutting out the San Jose Sharks from like anything past the neutral zone, yeah, I could stand there and do that. 66 games. And that's not even just 66. That's 66 of the hardest opponents that you could possibly play. Because he's not taking the off night when we're playing. I mean, back then the San Jose Sharks were good. Who was not good? The Buffalo. He's not the one taking, like, or playing the game against the Buffalo Sabres, right? He's taking that night off. He's going out there and he's playing the guys who won the cup. And that's where I'll agree with you. I think you put his name up in the rafters. I think at the end of the day, other than the 86 and the 93 Stanley Cup, the only two Stanley Cups that were won. I think that's a lie. I don't even think there were 32 teams in the NHL in 86. I think there might have been 32 teams in 93 when we won the cup in 93. But in an NHL the size that it is equivalent to go to the Stanley Cup final as it was to win the cup back in 86. And it's equivalent to win the first two rounds of the playoffs as it is to win a cup back in the 70s, because there were 6 teams, right? You only had to win 2 rounds to win the cup. This guy won 2 rounds a lot, actually. Back in 07, we had, I don't know if we won 2 rounds, but we got through 2 rounds. 2014-15, I believe that was this year that we faced off against no, it would have been 13-14 that we were against the Rangers in that stupid freaking playoff series in the conference finals, the year that we should have won the cup. That's what that one was, right? Yeah. And he goes to the Stanley Cup final in his last NHL season. I understand the argument that you need to win a cup to be in the rafters of the Bell Center. He should have 2.
No. Let's just be realistic here. He has none, but he put the team on his back for a decade. He belongs in the rafters.
I guess. Yeah, what we're really saying is that it's a team sport, right? It's like you have to honor the players that were the best of all time. And that's a discussion too. Is Carey Price the best goaltender in Habs history? I mean, you got Patrick Waugh, you've got Jacques Plante, you got the guy. I mean, I think George Vezina, like the trophy's named after him for the best goaltender. I'm pretty sure he was a Hab too.
Okay, let's be real. Carey Price is playing against guys who all they do is play hockey. The guys Jacques Plante was playing against were guys who might have just worked his shift at the coal mine, had a few beers, got on the ice. They weren't seeing the net anyways. Of course you have a good save percentage. But, okay, that was a bit disrespectful, but I think it's more of a debate between Patrick Waugh and Carey Price. But even then, I just think the players are more skilled now than they were back then. So I would say Carey Price is the most skilled Habs goalie ever.
Yeah, and by that measure, I think we would say he's the best.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say on this podcast, Nathan DaCosta?
Any other big hockey news this week?
Lucas Raymond got signed, $8 million a year.
I did see that. So
how good of a contract does Juraj Slafkovsky's deal look like now?
Not bad, but you know what that also tells you? That Lucas Raymond signing for 8 and Sidney Crosby signing for 8.7. That means they're just as skilled, right? They must be just as good of players.
I guess that is what that means. Like, it's only $700,000 in difference. Like that's not that much.
There's nothing.
That's like throwing in. Who do we pay $700,000 to? Michael Pezzetta still, maybe. Yeah, probably. It's like throwing Michael Pezzetta plus Lucas Raymond equals Sidney Crosby.
No, well, that's big class act from Sidney Crosby. I mean, 8.7 just to keep your core alive. Not a lot of players would do that. You didn't see Leon Draisaitl do that.
The guy is a talent. Did you see that after he signed that extension, he was delivering season tickets to Penguins season ticket holders?
And then they were interviewing him, asking him why he didn't take more money. And he was so cool about it. He is the best captain in sports. Right now, he is probably the best captain in sports.
I don't know. I like Nick Suzuki, man. But I'm just a biased Habs fan. We all know that by now.
In all of sports, though,
Yeah,
NBA,
no,
I guess the only other person comparable to Sidney Crosby in terms of leadership would be LeBron James. Somebody
I
who's
don't even
been.
think you could say that though, man. Like I don't think it's a totally different level. When's the last time like LeBron James was out handing out season tickets to like season ticket holders? I don't think I've ever seen that before in my life. This kid gives back to his community in ways that like it's hard to replicate just because it's hard to come up with in the first place. You have to be a truly good person to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go do this for my fans because I really appreciate them.
It is a very fair point, but I'm talking about just bringing a team together to have a winner's mentality. So I feel like the LeBron James definitely brings that to his team. But yeah, you're right. Stuff you do outside of the locker room too matters. If we're okay, the other big sports would be MLB and NFL. So if we're going there, I'd say you'd put Tom Brady, LeBron James, Sidney Crosby.
Well, yeah, but Tom Brady's retired, man. I mean, we're talking active, no? Or we're talking all time.
Okay.
Because I don't know the all time captains. Like I'd say we've had a few really good captains. Like I'm pretty sure Guy Lafleur was a captain. Actually, that might not be true. Guy Lafleur actually was not a captain because we had somebody else on the team. That's how good those teams were. Guy Lafleur was not the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. Keep going. Keep talking. I'm going to look up who was the captain.
Okay. No, I was just thinking top three within the past decade. Top three leaders on teams in the past decade.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be one from each sport. So I think NFL, plain and simple, Tom Brady. NHL, pretty clear cut, Sidney Crosby. Yeah, Sidney Crosby. And then NBA, you could argue a Kobe Bryant. But I think LeBron. LeBron is that leader. And then MLB, A-Rod would be the closest.
No? I guess. I don't know. I don't follow baseball, man. They just hit the ball.
Okay.
Man.
We can have a proper GOAT debate next week if we would like.
We could.
Greatest captain of all time. GOAT.
I mean, that's where. Did you say where do you put Messi on this list then? Like he's a captain.
Okay, I was talking North American sports, but if we're going international now.
Well, I think soccer is the only international sport that either of us could even talk about.
Yep.
Like I don't know about you, I don't know any of the Aussie rules football captains, but
nope. Okay, well then we have to go into the Messi Ronaldo debate, but I don't think it's a debate. Messi is obviously better. He has a World
Whatever
Cup.
You say, man.
We'll leave it at that for today. Thank you everyone for watching the 4th episode of the Frozen Forum podcast. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get our post notifications every week. We're posting every Thursday. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. That's all.
YouTube. I mean, YouTube. You already said it, but
YouTube. Yeah. Oh, Spotify. Hopefully you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. We're everywhere.
If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us that 5-star review. It's how you show the love to us. It's how we know that you like what we're saying, or at least what we're trying to do here. You might not agree with everything we say because we say some pretty crazy things sometimes, but
we are two very non-biased Habs fans. So just give us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, we will catch you guys next week. And what are we talking about next week, Alex?
Hey, it's preseason. Preseason hockey starts on Tuesday.
Yes,
Tuesday or Monday? Monday. I think one of the days. It starts on one of the days. Before we record this podcast, we're going to see the full Montreal training camp coming. There was 50-something people who were invited to training camp this year, and they're obviously going to weed that down to 22 players to start the season, or 21 or 20 or whatever it is. But they're doing that this week, and that really starts with that preseason game that is on the 23rd of September against the Philadelphia Flyers. And so we're going to see that game. I think the New Jersey game is on the 24th. So we might actually have 2 preseason games to talk about before we record the next podcast. And so that's the content we'll be bringing you next week. Plus, maybe, who knows, we might still do this GOAT debate. And we'll go GOAT, not just captains. Like, who is the GOAT? Because, I don't think it's very controversial. But apparently people think differently than I do.
Okay. Well, we'll bring
Hint,
that
it
team
might
up.
be Lane Hutson, but man,
You never know. You never know.
never ever know. No, okay, cool. Thank you
Okay.
for watching, everyone. Have a great week.
Adios.